The sun poured warmly through the tall windows of the grand suburban home, filling every corner with daylight. Yet inside, the atmosphere was anything but peaceful. On the polished wooden floor, near a shining brass basin of water, an elderly woman named Margaret knelt uncomfortably, her frail hands trembling as she tried to wash the delicate feet of her son's fiancée. Every muscle in her arms ached, every joint reminded her of her age, but still she pressed on. Across from her, seated lazily on a velvet sofa, was Clara, the young fiancée of Margaret's only son. Clara leaned back with a glass of sparkling juice in hand, her head tilted with an air of entitlement, as though this humiliating scene were perfectly natural. My arms are tired," Margaret whispered desperately, her voice cracking with exhaustion. But Clara only smirked, stretching her legs further into the basin, as if enjoying the sight of her future mother-in-law on the floor beneath her. Before we move further, dear viewers, if you believe that no one deserves to be treated with cruelty and that kindness always wins in the end, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps spread hope and compassion through stories like this one. Margaret had never imagined her life would come to this point. She was the widow of a simple man, who had left her nothing but memories and an old home. Her son, Adrian, had grown up bright and ambitious, eventually becoming the heir to a large business empire after his late father's best friend, a wealthy millionaire named Mr. Howard, took him under his wing. But with success came distance. Adrian worked endlessly, rarely noticing what was happening at home, especially the way Clara was slowly gaining control over him. Clara had beauty, charm, and a sharp tongue. Around Adrian, she was sweetness itself. But when his back was turned, she treated Margaret like a servant, demanding tasks that her frail body could barely handle. That afternoon, Clara had returned from shopping with expensive shoes and insisted that Margaret prepare warm water to soak her feet. Margaret obeyed without protest, but when the basin was set, Clara had gone further. "Scrub them for me. My hands are too delicate," she had ordered, tossing a towel at Margaret as if she were nothing. And though Margaret's heart sank, she complied, afraid that any refusal might create conflict that would hurt Adrian's future. She believed that if she endured silently, at least her son would remain happy. But as the minutes dragged on, Margaret's weak arms trembled violently. She whispered her plea again, "My arms are tired," hoping Clara might show a shred of mercy. Instead, Clara rolled her eyes and reached for a bunch of grapes on the side table, popping one into her mouth with a grin. "If you're tired, then you should try harder," she said casually, as if speaking to a maid. The cruelty in her voice pierced Margaret's soul. Tears welled in her eyes, but she bowed her head and continued. In that very moment, fate intervened. The door swung open, and in stepped Mr. Howard, the millionaire who had mentored Adrian and treated Margaret with respect ever since she lost her husband. He had come unannounced, hoping to share some business updates with Adrian, but what he saw stopped him in his tracks. His eyes widened in disbelief. There, in the middle of the luxurious living room, was Margaret, trembling on her knees, struggling to scrub Clara's feet while Clara lounged without a care in the world. For a moment, time froze. Mr. Howard's voice thundered, "What is going on here?" His words echoed through the room like a storm. Margaret froze, her face flushing with shame, while Clara jolted upright, startled by his sudden arrival. She stammered, trying to explain, but her arrogance faltered under his piercing gaze. I was only," she began, but Mr. Howard raised his hand, silencing her. He rushed forward and gently lifted Margaret from the floor. "Margaret, you shouldn't be kneeling like this," he said, his tone filled with compassion. "You are not a servant. You are a mother. A woman who has given her life to raise her son with dignity." Tears spilled down Margaret's cheeks as she tried to speak, but her voice broke. For so long she had hidden her suffering, and now someone had finally seen it. Clara, realizing her mask was slipping, tried to regain control. She wanted to help. "I never forced her," she said defensively. But Mr. Howard's eyes narrowed. "Enough," he said coldly. "I know what I saw. And I know what kind of woman would allow the mother of her fiancé to suffer like this." The commotion drew Adrian into the room. He had just returned from the office and was stunned to see the scene before him, his mother trembling in Mr. Howard's arms, Clara looking guilty, and the basin of water still on the floor. "Mother, what's happening?" Adrian asked, his voice shaking. Margaret looked away, unable to confess the truth, but Mr. Howard stepped in. Your fiancé has been mistreating your mother while you've been away. I witnessed it with my own eyes. Adrian turned to Clara, disbelief etched across his face. Is this true? Clara's lips quivered, but her silence was answer enough. The weight of reality crashed down on Adrian. All those times he had dismissed his mother's weariness, all those moments he had chosen to believe Clara's charm, it all became painfully clear. Adrian fell to his knees beside his mother. Forgive me, mother, he whispered. I should have seen this. I should have protected you. Margaret placed a trembling hand on his shoulder, her heart torn between love and sorrow. You are my son. That is all that matters, she said softly. But the truth remained, the woman Adrian thought would be his future had revealed her true colors. Mr. Howard then spoke with authority. Adrian, listen to me. Wealth and success mean nothing if the person you share your life with cannot honor your family. You must decide carefully, not just for yourself, but for the dignity of the woman who gave you life. His words struck deep into Adrian's soul. Clara, sensing her grip slipping, tried one last time. Adrian, don't listen. She's just jealous of us, but Adrian raised his hand sharply. Enough. I see now who you truly are. I will not allow my mother to live in humiliation. Clara's face twisted with fury, but there was no saving her lies. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her, leaving behind the echoes of her selfishness. For the first time in months, Margaret felt the weight lift from her shoulders. She collapsed into the sofa, tears of relief streaming down her face. Mr. Howard placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You deserve respect, Margaret. And from this day on, you shall have it. Adrian, still kneeling, promised, I will make it right. I will never let anyone hurt you again. The daylight streamed through the window once more, but this time it felt different. It felt pure, cleansing, as if the house itself had been freed of shadows. Margaret leaned back, closing her eyes with gratitude, while Adrian and Mr. Howard silently vowed to protect her dignity for the rest of her days. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, if you believe no mother should ever be humiliated, and that kindness and respect must always triumph over cruelty, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps keep these stories alive and spread light where it is most needed.